Hello, friends. Syed and I are here, and we are talking about American policies and how we see the rest of the world and how we treat the rest of the world. Election year is about to start. We are a bipartisan state. Bipartisan means that we are two parties which seem to differ on key issues. What is the state? We'll talk with Syed. Syed, how are you, and what do you have to say about this?
Thank you, sir. I think this is a really very important issue that we need to touch on, and thank you for getting me on your program again. So there's in terms of being an American citizen, there's several questions that are sort of controversial, I would say, questions that are being raised, which are sort of I would say in a way that are labeling or giving, especially Democrats, sort of a bad name. And I would like you to touch on those subjects that global audiences are talking about right now, which are in a way damaging not only the reputation of the Democrats, but US politics in general and the role of United States. I've met several people, I get to travel a lot, and I've been hearing lots of I would say, quote unquote, rumors and stories from different people from around the world, from different ethnicities, different backgrounds, different nationalities. So there's in the wake of the recent events that have been happening, I would specifically like to highlight the role of United States in the Ukraine war, and how they are trying to have other allies contribute towards that war, and one of that allies being Pakistan in the recent event, in this war that is going on in Ukraine. I mean, there's sort of, I would say, rumors, because until anything that's proven or there's any solid facts, I would say rumors, where people are saying that the livelihood, global audiences are saying, because that the livelihood of people of Pakistan is being taken away, just so that Pakistan can support the war in Ukraine. There's rumors of regime change operation, where the most democratic leader Pakistan has ever faced was removed in a regime change operation, where the military and some other corrupt parties were involved together in that. So and then recently, the U.S. ambassador to Pakistan, he met with the Punjab police of Pakistan, and he was sort of lauding their effort of countering terrorism. But as we all know what's going on in Pakistan right now, it has turned into a military state, where the police is sort of the henchman for these military people, and they've been raiding people's houses, any political workers that raise a voice against the sort of fascism that's going on right now, they're arrested. So that made it even more controversial. And then there's a cipher that was leaked, which clearly states that Donald Lu, who was the Undersecretary of State at that time, he was demanding the Pakistani ambassador, that Imran Khan, who is he's unanimously the most democratic leader of Pakistan, that he needs to go, because he said no to any wars, and he said he will be the partner in peace with any other country, including including United States, who's one of its oldest allies in that region. So, that cipher has been leaked. People are questioning around the world as to why there's no congressional hearing going on that is, damaging the reputation of United States and its politics, its global politics around the world, as to why there's no congressional hearing regarding that cipher, and why Biden's administration is acting in a very novice way, and they're not responding to these allegations around the world that are floating around the globe. That people are saying that this proves. For example, I was in transit and I was traveling, and I met an American citizen who was living in Dubai, and he said that these things are proving that, when people used to gossip or sort of say that, America has been involved, the United States government has been involved in regime change operations in Iran and, for example, in Egypt and other countries, So they're saying that it's actually proving the reason, that the reason why they're looking away from this issue is, which, either you have an answer or you don't have an answer if you're involved in it. So I think Biden administration, given the fact that you mentioned that, the election year is approaching, they need to take these seriously, because it will have an impact on not only Biden's politics, but Democrats in general, right? As a whole body, they will be impacted by, if there's, people that are, slinging mud at you around the world, and they're saying that you are definitely involved in the most recent case of regime change operation, you need to come out clean. So, and then of course there's a new the Zoom town hall meeting that was held, I would say, rather in sort of an emergency, that addressed by Elizabeth Horst, that was addressing, all these concerns of Pakistani diaspora here. And some people after the meeting, they said that it sort of belittled the sentiments of not only the Pakistani diaspora here, but also the people overseas in Pakistan that are looking up at United States as the, the flag bearers of democracy. And they want to see them come, and issue statements, or at least, sort of be their voice against this injustice that is going on. So I will, those are the things, I think, for now, the sort of the key ones that I wanted to highlight. You can either, as time allows, you can address one or many of the ones that I just mentioned. So I will pass it over to you. Thank you.
Wow. See, this was like an MBA in 3 minutes. This is like the MBA of American foreign policy. Well, I will start by saying that we don't talk controversies. We talk about our principles, policies, our actions, and our values. And controversy may be a result of that. I happen to be a born Pakistani who came to the United States 32 years ago in pursuit of excellence that this society had created. America is arguably the most evolved and refined of the modern civilizations. American dream has many components, and I came here searching for the life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. That is probably the biggest and the most valued, most revered part of the American dream. And it is in sync with the last sermon of Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who I wholeheartedly, like billions of other Muslims, believe in. So the last sermon of Holy Prophet and the Declaration of Independence, if you look at the Constitution of the United States, they're in sync, and they talk about human dignity, they talk about human freedom, and they talk about human rights. Prophet Muhammad said that if you see an evil, an act of oppression happening somewhere, stop it with force. If you cannot stop it with force, say it, claim it, tell others that this is an egregious act of oppression or exploitation or indignifying other humans. And if you can't say it, in your heart, believe them. And that's what I believe American liberty, American freedom. I was talking to my nephew and niece today. I was telling them, I'm in Canada. I was telling them that tomorrow I'm returning to the land of the brave and the free. So that's why millions of people from across the globe came there to the United States. They didn't come here for a house or a car or a, infrastructure, or they came here for life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. That's how we saw this great country. American people are wonderful. They're very accepting. They're very helping. Now, American people and American governments are two different things. We don't, mix them. We have built this huge empire, and all empires have similar dynamics. If you look at Ibn Khaldun's philosophy of history, he talks about the rise and fall of empires, the factors that lead to that. I mean, We can talk for hours about this, but we don't have hours. So what I will do is I will come and focus on relevance of what I'm saying with relevance of what you said. So rise of empire happens when empire look at a broader vision of progress and prosperity and justice for their citizens. And then they bring resources, and then they make progress. With economic progress is moral, ethical progress. It's built on those values for the citizens. As opposed to the other countries where there may be oppression, there may be, disrespect of human rights, where there may be injustice. So these things lead you to progress, and that's what led America to progress. It took a long time. America got independence in 1776, 4th of July, a long time ago, 250 years. And until 1926, women didn't have voting rights. Until 60s, even in the capital, Washington, D.C., the ethnicities or the races or the colors were segregated. Colored people could not eat in places where white people could eat. But we have come a long, long way. And ever since, America has claimed and helped many countries, in restoration of human rights, in restoration of dignity, in justice. When American President Nixon was found tapping or spying on other American citizens' value, the value system was so, evolved, and it was at a place where American president had to resign because he was involved in an unethical act, something that could not be, thought of in this society. So that's what this great country is based on. But what happened over time is interests took over principles, individual interests, business interests, political interests, and all. And while, our large base of interest in the United States drives our foreign policies, which are based on, like any other country, these are based on what is best for the United States, which means what is best for the people of the United States. And people of the United States, by and large, stood for justice, human rights, democracy, democratic value, anywhere in the world. And in that name, they have been exploited, they've been coerced, they have been kept ignorant, and certain quarters benefited from that, for no fault of American people. Now, we come to a point from where an American president resigns because he did something which was unethical, immoral, and illegal, to a point where if an American president does not do that, he cannot survive this political system. And a lot happened in between. Right? So we'll go through all of that. I don't know if it was evolution for some, it may be, but it was certainly a devolution to me of values, of justice, of system. It has gone down. We could prevail, we could keep our value system, we could continue to support democracy and human rights, as we said. But for different reasons, our politicians, our leaders chose not to do that. People stood against that, whether it was Iraq War, whether it was Guantanamo Bay, whether it was, drone attacks in Pakistan on innocent, unarmed civilian citizens, women and children. People stood up against it. They demonstrated, they protested, but politicians and their related organizations continued. And I can tell you, it all started from cracking the justice system. It started from justice system. Before Citizens United, I can talk about that, and we'll do it at another time. Our democratic and political system was within a very reasonable structure and control. After Citizens United, which happened because we let, unethical and immoral element come into play, and then, politicians did what they do, And it led us to this point where corporate interests took over. And why I'm saying corporate interests, and why politicians are taken by corporate interests, and why it is affecting all. We happen to be Pakistanis, so we know Pakistani situation the best and how it is affected by all of this that has been happening in the United States. And we want to have this, we want to talk about this correlation. It is justice that makes a difference in every society. We happen to be Pakistanis. We came from Pakistan with a certain ambition, with certain goals, with certain picture in mind, which may have been shattered, which may have changed, but we saw life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness as great American values on which this society, this country is built on. Over time, political interests, corporate interests took over, and they changed the society. But it all starts from tampering with the justice system. We don't improve justice system. We, devolve it into a political gimmickry, and that changes everything in the society. So when Citizens United happened, we can talk about that. We changed the campaign financing. We changed the political activities. We changed how you support different political causes, activism, lobbying. All of that changed. And the corporation started buying politicians. That's when it began. So current administration, Joe Biden, has always been a corporate man. As a senator, he's always supported corporate legislation. He supported bankruptcy laws in favor of companies instead of favor of citizens. And I have very strong belief he was not going to be a president ever. I have very strong belief he's brought against the policies of Trump to promote corporate interest. America, inside the country, the biggest industry is housing industry, which keeps the economic engine going. Outside the country is the war, military industrial complex, where America is the largest stakeholder. America spends more on its military infrastructure than the next 13 countries, most of which are friends of America. So you can imagine how large is we have more than 550 military bases across the globe. And those are not because we have threats. Those are because that runs the economic engine. $1 hamburger that, most Americans enjoy here, when it is sent to a war active area, it costs $200. $1 hamburger. And that's how all of your economic engine is projected in a state of war. Guess who makes all these weapons? Guess who benefits from all these? When there was this Gulf War, when Dick Cheney and Bush were, attacking left and right, their interest in Carlyle Group and other war companies, the war companies were going public left and right and raising money, and they were profiting most. Pentagon, which is the largest office building in the world. Outside Pentagon, you see a huge infrastructure of glass. It's a full city called Crystal City. So all war activists, lobbyists, war contractors. Where will they, make all this money, and how will they feed if there is no war? It's like when, in a police station in our societies, they say if there is no crime in the area, police will not have the nuisance value that they have when there is crime. So it is said that police actually triggers when there is no crime, they trigger. So you project that thing and bring it to, war, perception of war, threat of war. If there is none, who's going to buy all those arms and all that, war machinery and all? And South Asia is one of the largest population in the world. Like, if you combine China and South Asia, it's 2/3 of the entire world's population. In 2005, I made a movie, 2 Billion Hostages, and where I reiterated my dream of USSA, United States of South Asia. 2 billion people are hostage to that military industrial complex. There is no real rivalry or animosity between the people of Pakistan, people of India, people of Bangladesh. People love each other. They have families in all those countries. You meet with them, you see love dripping from their eyes for each other. They hug, they eat together, they have businesses together. So where does all this animosity and rivalry come from? Radical elements? Yes, there are radical elements in every country, every society in the world. United States, Japan, Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, Pakistan, no country is free of those. But they are always on the fringes. When you bring them mainstream, you're inciting war and injustice. But you can't build a civilization on injustice or war, you know. So what this administration stands for, and it's no surprise that what is happening in Pakistan is a true reflection of why these people were brought in and what they believe in. Human rights, justice, democracy, as they claim, is not their value. I'm not talking about Republican Party or Democratic Party. I'm talking about this current administration, which has certain politicians, which have Joe Biden, which have Kamala Harris, which have Anthony Blinken. Now you're talking about Elizabeth Horst or Victoria Newland or these. It's like, you go to they will do what they're hired to do. It is their job. It's like you go to a bar, you start eating and you see roaches there and you start fighting or with roaches or complaining about roaches to roaches. This may not be the most appropriate example because these are humans, even though their actions are despicable, but they're still human, but they're still promoting the policy of a certain administration. You need to talk to the owner or the manager of the bar, which is Blinken and Biden. Eventually, they are responsible. They're answerable to American people who uphold democratic values, human rights in, great position. So election year is starting. You can see Elizabeth Horst is just an operative. So was Donald Liu. So is Victoria Newland. They will do what their masters tell them to do, which they did. Actually, Elizabeth Horst did a very good job of faking, lying, manipulating, and you feel disrespected as a Pakistani citizen, or she, essentially slapped you on your face with her rhetoric that she brought in. Is a great poet of Pakistan, the poet of the East, Allama Iqbal. He said, "Has jurme zaifi ki saza marge mafajat. Takdir ke qazi ka ye fatwa hai azal se." This is God's decree that if you're weak, you're destined to perish. So if Pakistani people or any other people have made themselves weak by electing weak, corrupt people or not standing up to tyranny and injustice, it's not America's fault. Americans are doing what they think is best for them. Anthony Blinken is not standing up to human rights. That's what he thinks his administration believes in. Biden, he removed, if you look at Obama's time, when we thought that, okay, Obama comes from a very different background. He was very humble. It's a broken family. He's raised by a single mother who went to brilliant, career as a very intelligent man. He went to Harvard. He's a lawyer and he was a community organizer. What didn't check out in Obama's case? He should have done wonders. But what he did instead, with Hillary Clinton as his Secretary of State, at that time, America sold most weapons. They bombed the most countries. They changed most regimes. Hillary Clinton made fun of when they killed Gaddafi, which destabilized Middle East. So these people do what they do best. Obama was supposed to be different. Then the only person who stood in among the modern US presidents against war was Donald Trump. He's not a politician. He had his constituency or voter base among the ordinary people of America who were sick and tired of corporate politicians and corporate presidents. Obama turned out to be the biggest corporate person. Biden is his legacy. Biden is a corporate man. He's brought in, I believe, the way they pulled from Afghanistan in a hurry, leaving billions of dollars of American assets there and damaging American interests significantly in that region. Pakistan was greatest ally of America in the war on terror. Before that war against Russia, and Pakistan was instrumental in the breakdown of the communist empire in Russia. This is how America treats its most trusted ally. They're building this paper tiger called India against China, and in that they're snubbing Pakistan. And now they did this because Imran Khan refused to succumb to their clandestine designs. They started this Ukraine war against the interests and wishes of Ukrainian people. They installed this joker Zelensky by removing a popular president in Ukraine who was popular among the people of Ukraine and who took care of Ukraine's people's interests. They removed him. They installed this idiot who went to war against Russia for this empire's interest. Now this war achieves broad-based, targets for this administration. This helps in weakening European Union. European Union, after America, is the biggest entity in the world that could challenge the empire. And Pakistan, Imran Khan was punished because he refused to be a partner in the war. He wanted to be a partner in peace. He said peace removes poverty. It brings, people above. He wanted to follow China model, not because he was interested in communism or he was interested even in China. He wanted to do it because China is a miracle of modern history. They brought 700 million Chinese people in last 20, 25 years above the poverty line. This has never happened in human history. Imran Khan wanted to bring his people above that poverty level. So he wanted to be a partner in peace, and he stated that, and that's what this administration did not like, because this is full of warmongers. So let's not blame Elizabeth Horst or Victoria Nuland or even this idiot Secretary of State. I mean, they don't have their own, policies, or they cannot think of their own. They just need to carry out the policies, whether they have to lie, whether they have to deceive, whether they have to put a poker face and tell you, though, I'm with you, while they're not. It is this administration's policy, and this administration does not realize how much damage they have caused to the United States, its reputation. It's the image of US as being a bearer of human rights and democracy and justice anywhere in the world. They have tarnished that. Now, what are American people going to do in elections with these jokers is yet to be seen. We will see. It's a long, American election is a 2 years long process that has already started, but there's a long way to go. We're entering into like an active election year, and we'll see what happens. But I can tell you, I mean, you can be angry at Elizabeth Horst or Victoria Nuland or Tony Blinken, but they're doing what they're supposed to do, what they're hired to do. It is their job. You should appreciate them for doing their job well. Their job is to lie, to deceive, to protect American interests. And these are not American interests, I tell you. These are this current administration's interests, which are, deceptively packaged as American interests. Actually, American interests are significantly damaged. We will talk in another vlog about BRICS and what is going on in the world and how all the other countries see through this administration, because of this administration and before this, Barack Obama's 8 years, these 16 years have unveiled a very, very clandestine plan of the war machine, that they see that. Even though we always believe that the Republicans like Reagan and Bush and all those. They were warmongers and they inflicted a lot of wars, which they did. So these essentially may be two different, packages, but the same material in different packages. You see them differently, but they may not be as different. This is probably the most bipartisan thing in American politics, that bring the same thing in two different packages. Either you like the elephant or the donkey, it's up to you. You're making an ass of yourself. And that's what gave rise to Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. We'll talk about that another time. Right now, all I want to say is this administration is doing so much damage to American people through its policies of, usurping, to support the corrupt, to support the unjust people who are curbing human rights. And like in Pakistan, there is a quasi-martial law. Military is supporting this puppet corrupt regime, which is perceived to be supported by United States actively, because they may be supplying weapons to, Ukraine in this war. Now you see how damaging it is. India, however, has done wonderfully. They have kept their relations with the United States. They've kept their relationships with Russia. They're getting cheap oil from there. They have kept their relationships with China. They have billions of dollars of trade there. If there was anything to be done, like America, how much it has damaged American interest. India has done so much damage to American interest by being a part of BRICS, by weakening the dollar, by, strengthening. And that's another debate. We can talk about that later. But Biden and Blinken went after Imran Khan, who had nothing against American policies, not weakening American dollar or American interest. He was actually protecting. He was instrumental in getting an accord done between the Taliban and America. He saved America from that large-scale destruction, or at least distraction, that was being caused in that region to American interests for over 20 years. It was Imran Khan who favored single-handedly to us. We are Pakistani origin people, but we are American citizens. We see that our interests in Pakistan and America align around peace. We must be partners in peace. Pakistan has its largest trade interests with the United States. That is being heard. Pakistan was a balancing factor in that region for the United States. We helped United States thought relationship with China. If it was not Pakistan, Union Soviet Socialist Republic, USSR, would still be there probably. If it was not for Pakistan, Afghan Taliban would still be insurgent and incursions maybe still going on there. If it was not for Pakistan, the Indians who were, in the Soviet bloc, and they were like big, Russia, China, and India, they were all against American interest. It was only Pakistan that helped America again and again. And now, with the changing scenario all over the world, this is not the post, Cold War world. This is not like the previous world order. The world order has changed significantly. Now, America has to realize and understand how it wants to position itself. Pakistan is a very significant player there. It's 250 million people you're talking about. They have inroads with China. They have inroads with Central Asia. They have inroads with Middle East. And you are doing this to Pakistan? How are you going to, ever be able to justify the American interest, the damage that you are causing to American interest? Pakistan is inroads with Iran, Turkey, and all those entire region. Pakistan could tilt but where Pakistani, relationship with America kept going wrong, that America never took the pulse of Pakistani people. They always supported either corrupt civilian political leaders or the military dictators. They never connected with Pakistani people. We go to seminars and conferences here, Pentagon, CENTCOM, American think tanks in Washington, D.C., the activists, the lobbyists. We go there and we clearly tell them that the money that you know that American politicians, American government, and these people are not stupid. All the generals sitting in CENTCOM and Pentagon are not stupid. They deliberately, purposely support corrupt and unjust people there. They support military. They know right now the extent and the level of human rights violations going on in Pakistan. They know that democracy is being undermined. They know that the justice system is crippled. How dare American ambassador, who's paid by the American people's tax dollars, goes and supports the corrupt and human rights violating police? Police is a local law enforcement agency. How is American ambassador, can relate to that? What is American interest to do with Pakistani regional police law enforcement? Why would American ambassador go and meet with a police chief who has been, violating their human rights, democracies, been, abducting people illegally? They've been undermining courts. So what message American ambassador sends by doing that? That Americans support injustice, we support human rights violations, we support, dragging women by their hair on the street. These are peaceful civilian protesters. We support military doing all kind of cruelties and injustice there. This is the message we are sending through our ambassador by going and meeting with local people, and he goes and he meets with corrupt politicians. Are we sending the message that American people support corruption, dishonesty, human rights violations? I mean, what is going on? I was expecting Elizabeth Horst and Victoria Nuland and Anthony Blinken to come out and talk about that. Tell us what is our position. They're all paid by our tax dollars. Are they representing us? Are they proving to the world, or are they showing that we are unreasonable people? We undermine democracy in countries. We support regime change. We sponsor their militaries to sit behind and pull the strings of a puppet corrupt regime. I mean, what is this? We will continue talking about this. There is a lot more to talk, but I want some answers. This is election years, and I want them to tell us, the American people, that what is going on, whose side we are on. Are we still the country that believes in Constitution? Are we still upholders of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness? I want to know that. All right, I think we'll continue this dialogue. I want our friends, our audience, to ask questions, tell us, give us their comments, feedback, which helps us. We all need to use our social media and our resources very effectively and send this message to the State Department, to the current administration, Biden, Kamala Harris, Anthony Blinken, and all these staffers that are, I don't really care about Victoria Nuland or Donald Lu or Elizabeth Horst. They're just, people, they're justifying their jobs. I mean, if I was one of them, I would have resigned because I have a conscience. I would not get this illegitimate money promoting, violence and human rights abuses against innocent women and children. But then that's me. I'm not Elizabeth Horst or Victoria Nuland or Donald Lu. I would not do that. That does not protect interest of America or American people. That damages it. So let's continue talking about this. Let's meet until next time. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ziad.
Sir, there's two major takeaways from this, the discussion that we had. And I would definitely, when you mentioned Trump, right? So I would, I would like for us to discuss in the future, like, how we see Donald Trump making a comeback. And I mean, a lot of Americans, he's very famous, he's very popular, and they say that the reason why they support Trump is because he's not an institutional thug. And they still, so I would want for you to please sort of talk about how you see him making a comeback election year, and who do you see as his major adversary? Whether it's the state or the politicians or the people, in making that comeback. And then the second important point that you touched on, and I think we definitely need to do a vlog on this as well, is America, due to Biden's administration's policy, losing its allies one by one. And you mentioned the BRICS agreement and what its effect it's going to have on the American economy and the sort of supremacy of America in the future, and how important Pakistan is for America in that region, and how important it is for America to keep that ally, and at the same time, like you said, realign its policy to sort of connect with the people of Pakistan, like a nation to nation actual relationship. Because in the future, a lot of people see, because African nations are also joining, they've been invited to join the BRICS agreement as well. So one by one, a lot of nations are jumping on the bandwagon to join the BRICS agreement, and that's going to have, that's going to have some severe repercussions in the future for American politics and global politics and the American economy. So those are the two takeaways I just wanted to mention at the end.
All right. Both of these are very, very important topics, and we'll continue talking about that. Let's talk about Trump, etc., everything else related to that. And let's talk about how this administration is very severely damaging American image as well as American interests across the globe. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.